Welcome to part 2 of exception examples. Now in this one we want to actually use the exception class that's built into the C++ standard library. And to do that, you'll notice that I'm going to basically clear the screen. Now I'm using the exception example project that I used in part 1, and I've just erased everything but this right here. I've just deleted everything but my basic integer main. Alright, so you won't see this one pre-built out there in your work files. You'll just need to build it as you go along with me. Alright, now notice a couple of things up here. I've added the include statement for exception and the using namespace standard because this exception class that we're going to use to catch our exception is part of the C++ standard library. Okay, now the first thing we need to do obviously is create our try statement, our try section if you will, and in that I'm going to do something kind of weird. I'm going to try to create a bunch of integers. Alright, and I'm going to use the new keyword to try to allocate the memory. And then what I'm going to do is bring in, and I'm actually going to copy these so that I get it right, somewhere around 4 billion integers. Alright, and then I'm going to jump down here and I'm going to put my catch statement. Now notice I didn't put a throw, right? And why didn't I put a throw? Well, because I don't know if this error is going to happen or not. So as you can see, you don't always have to throw. You can throw and then catch it, or you can just use things like the standard exception class or any other classes that you've built or that are already out there to look for specific errors that are thrown. All right. Now notice that I'm saying, okay, something's going to happen here. If it does, all right, we just want to write out standard exception. I'm just going to put this literally out there, and then I am going to call, notice this particular object here. I'm basically instantiating an object E off the exception class there. When I call E, you'll notice that there's a lot of things out there. Tidy, and this is the destructor for it, but what is what I'm interested in here, and I will call what, and that is going to give me some textual information about the exception class. Okay, and so notice I've closed out my catch block here, and so we will now run this and let's see what happens. And so I will build it. And now I will jump out to my location. Let me clear all this from the previous example, and we will type exception example, and you'll notice the standard exception that was raised was bad allocation. In other words, my computer had a problem allocating this much memory for this, and so it threw an exception back at me. Now that's the way you can use the exception class. Notice I didn't throw, I just caught, and whatever it caught, it appeared here. Now, while I've got the time in this video, I want to show you another very interesting thing that we can do with these things, and that is I'm going to go back and create my inventory integer again, and I'll set it equal to 4. Alright, now the first thing I could have done before I created this integer array here, or this array of integers, I could have gone back to what we were doing before, and I could have said if inventory is less than 3, right, then throw inventory. All right, and then I could have come down here and notice I'll do the more specific first, and I will come down here and I'll just simply do another catch. All right, and I will catch int a, then I'll put a block down here. Now notice it doesn't squawk at this. As soon as I get this, there are 2 catches here. It doesn't care. Okay, and we will do a cout, and we'll just say inventory low at, and then we will put the a that passed in. And as I struggle to type and talk at the same time, there we go. Alright, now notice if it catches an error here, it will throw it and I'll get this one. If it doesn't catch the error here, it will continue on and I'll get that one. Well, we shouldn't get that error here. We should only get the allocation because my inventory is not less than 3. And so let's run this and see if that's what happened. Yes, it does. I got my bad allocation. But if I change this to 2, okay, and I run this, and this is something you'll have to watch with these. With C++, with any kind of programming, you're always chasing memory and logic, right? And so if I run it this time, notice the first thing it did is it threw the inventory as low at 2. So in essence, what I did is I caught this error, and basically I tested for this error and said, if that condition exists, then go ahead, I've got a problem here. Throw the inventory, all right? And it gave it to me, and so I got this one. Now, if this one's okay, then I know there's an error here, okay? It's going to test for an error here because it's in the try. And the error that it's going to throw is not really an integer error, so it will skip this one, but this one will catch it. It's a more general one, and it will catch it. Again, I hope I didn't confuse you with this example, but you can use multiple catch statements to look for different kinds of errors, and then you can work with these various exception classes, bad allocation classes, logic error classes, and all those things that I talked about in a previous video to catch a number of different conditions. The only thing you have to watch is you usually want to catch from specific to more general as you move down through your catch statements. All right. So anyway, that's just again another simple example of some cool things that you can do with exceptions and exception handling in C++, and I would strongly encourage you to go out there and dig around a little more, find you some other examples, and just as you're comfortable with it, go a little deeper and a little deeper into exception handling.